A cup shatters against the wall. The sound cracks through the kitchen like a gunshot. Eli Granger grips the counter so hard his knuckles pale. He does not breathe. The house has been quiet for months. Too quiet. Then he hears it again. A child's laugh. Soft. Breathy. Wrong. It comes from the back of the house, thin and bright, like it slipped through a crack in the walls. His throat tightens. He has not heard laughter here since the day they lowered 2 coffins into dry ground. He closes his eyes. It comes again, closer this time. Not loud. Not playful. Familiar. His chest starts to shake before he can stop it. He whispers, "Who's there?" The hallway answers with silence. He swallows hard. Don't do this. The laugh drifts down the hall, light and broken. His fingers dig into the wood. You're not real. The words fall flat. He pushes away from the counter and steps into the hallway. Each step feels like he is walking into cold water. The boards creak under his boots. The walls hold their breath. He moves slowly, eyes fixed on the dark doorway at the end. The laugh fades but does not vanish. It lingers, like someone waiting for him to catch up. He reaches the nursery door. His hand trembles on the knob. He opens it. The room is empty. The crib stands against the far wall. The small quilt still folded inside. Dust floats in a thin line of light from the window. The rocking chair moves back and forth on its own. Slow. Steady. He stares at it. Grace? His voice cracks. The chair keeps moving. He takes one step inside. The laugh stops. The silence that follows is worse. It presses against his ears until they ring. He steps back into the hallway. A shadow shifts behind him, quick and low. He spins around. Nothing. Just the narrow hall and the family photos he never took down. He runs a hand over his face. I'm not crazy, he mutters. You're not here. He walks back toward the kitchen. The air feels thicker now. He reaches the table and stops. Something rests on the wood near the edge. A sheriff's badge. Silver. Scratched. Heavy. He stares at it. His pulse thuds in his neck. That badge should be locked in a drawer at the station. It should not be here. He steps closer. The metal catches the light. He remembers Mara holding it the night before she died, her jaw tight, her eyes burning. He had told her to leave it alone. She did not listen. He looks around the kitchen. The back door is shut. The windows are locked. He did not bring this inside. He knows that. He whispers, no, the word barely leaves his mouth. He reaches out but does not touch it yet. His hand hovers above the badge. The house stays silent. Too silent. No laugh now. No movement. Just him and the weight of that metal star on his table. He pulls his hand back like it might burn him. His heart pounds harder. You don't get to come in here, he says under his breath. You don't get to sit at my table. The air does not answer. He forces himself to breathe slow. In and out. The kitchen still smells faintly of coffee and old wood. Nothing else is out of place. Only that badge. He stares at it until his vision blurs. The laugh does not return. The rocking chair in the nursery has stopped. The whole house feels like it is waiting. He finally lowers his fingers and brushes the edge of the metal. It is not cold. Not dusty. It feels like it was set there minutes ago. He jerks his hand back. His eyes lift toward the hallway again. If this is you, he says softly, voice breaking, I don't understand. No answer comes. Only the sound of his own breathing in the empty kitchen. He looks down at the badge once more, the same badge his wife held the night before she died, and a quiet dread settles deep in his chest. He did not leave it there. He touches the badge. It's warm. Not dusty. Not forgotten. Warm like it had just been pulled from a pocket. Eli's thumb runs over the scratched edge. The metal presses into his skin. His jaw tightens. You were here, he whispers. You walked into my house. The kitchen feels smaller now. The walls closer. He can almost see Mara standing at this same table months ago, the badge clutched in her hand, her eyes lit with anger instead of fear. The memory comes fast. You don't scare me, Holt, Mara had said, standing in this kitchen, the badge flashing between her fingers. Sheriff Holt leaned back in his chair, boots on Eli's floor like he owned it. You should be scared for your daughter. Eli had stepped forward then. Watch your mouth. Holt didn't look at him. Land's changing hands, Mara. That's all. Paperwork. You're making noise for nothing. You're taking farms, she shot back. You're pushing widows off land their grandfathers bled for. Progress costs, Holt said. You come near her, Eli had warned, voice low, I swear. Holt stood up slow, smile thin. Careful, Eli. Threats don't look good on a man with debt. The memory snaps. Eli is back in the kitchen. Alone. The badge in his hand. You said it was an accident, he mutters now. You stood in that church and said it was a collapse. Faulty boards. Bad luck. His fingers curl tight around the metal. He remembers the well caving in. The screaming. The dust. Holt's calm voice telling him to stand back. Accident. He grabs his keys from the counter. The house stays silent behind him. No laugh. No movement. Just that deep, heavy quiet pressing at his back. He steps outside into the dry yard. The sun is high but it feels cold. He slams the truck door and sits for a second, breathing hard. The badge rests in his palm like a brand. Holt runs this town. Always has. His father wore that star before him. The old ranching family backs him. They hold the grazing rights. The mineral contracts. The bank notes. And somewhere above all of them, a governor who signs papers without ever stepping foot on this dirt. Eli turns the key. The engine coughs to life. You think I'm broken, he says to himself. You think grief makes me stupid. He pulls onto the dirt road toward town. Dust rises behind him like smoke. The storefronts come into view. Feed store. Church. Sheriff's office at the center like a throne. He parks hard. Steps out. Walks straight toward the door. Inside, the air smells like paper and old coffee. A deputy looks up. Sheriff in? Office, the deputy says, cautious. Eli doesn't knock. He pushes the door open. Holt sits behind his desk, reading glasses low on his nose. Well, Holt says without looking up. Didn't expect company. Eli steps forward and places the badge on the desk. Not slammed. Set down careful. You lose something, he asks. Holt looks at it. Then at Eli. His expression doesn't change. That's mine, Holt says. It was on my kitchen table. A pause. Holt leans back. You been drinkin', Eli? You plant it there? Holt folds his hands. Why would I walk into your house? You tell me. Silence stretches. Holt finally picks up the badge, turns it in his fingers. Grief does strange things. Makes men hear things. See things. I'm not hearing things. No? Holt's eyes sharpen. Town says you've been talking to yourself. Eli steps closer. You said it was an accident. It was. You sealed that well fast. Safety. You shut down questions. Because there weren't any. Eli's breath grows heavier. You stood over my wife's grave and called it bad luck. Holt's voice turns colder. Careful. You owe me truth. Holt sets the badge back on the desk between them. What I owe you is patience. Your taxes are late. Your pasture's under review. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. There it is. The threat wrapped in paperwork. Eli stares at him. You don't get to scare me. Holt smiles faintly. I already do. The room feels tight. Eli's ears ring. He can almost hear it again. That laugh. Faint. Distant. He glances toward the hallway behind Holt's office. Nothing. Holt stands. Go home, Eli. Grieve quiet. Eli doesn't move. If I find out you stepped foot in my house. You'll do what? Holt asks softly. The question hangs there. Eli turns and walks out before his hands do something he can't take back. He steps into the sunlight. The town looks the same as it always has. Calm. Orderly. Watching. He reaches his truck. His hand pauses on the door handle. From across the street, from the direction of his house miles away, he hears it again. A child's laugh. Soft. Breathy. Wrong. It carries through his memory like it's still inside those walls. He doesn't turn back. He gets in the truck and drives. He does not go back inside. Eli slams the badge onto Holt's desk. The metal rattles against the wood. Holt doesn't flinch. He leans back in the chair, fingers steepled, a faint smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. You lose something? Holt asks, slow. Eli's jaw tightens. You planted in my house? Holt tilts his head. You been drinking, Eli? No. And you know it. Holt shrugs like it doesn't matter. His eyes flick to the corner where a child's ribbon dangles from the filing cabinet handle. Pale pink. Faded. Eli freezes. Same ribbon from Grace's dress. A ghost of memory. He shakes it off. You covered it up. The well. Mara. Grace. You told me it was an accident. Holt's gaze sharpens. Grief makes ghosts. No. Guilt does. Holt smiles thinly. Careful chasing laughter. Might find out who's laughing. Eli takes a step forward. I'm done being careful. Holt leans back. Then you better be ready for the rest. Taxes are late. Land assessments due. Don't make mistakes, Eli. Eli's hand hovers over the badge, then he slaps it onto the desk again, louder this time. I won't be scared by threats. Not anymore. Holt taps the desk with a finger. You're chasing shadows, Eli. Shadows that belong in your head, not in this town. They're not shadows, Eli spits. They're names. Faces. Girls who vanished. Mara knew. I know now. Holt tilts his head, calm, unshaken. You'll find nothing. This town forgets. History buries itself. You just hear echoes. I hear more than echoes, Eli snaps. I hear laughter. I hear her voice. I hear the truth. Holt rises slowly, looming. truth can be dangerous. You're small in its path. Eli steps closer, anger coiling inside. I don't care how dangerous it is. Holt leans forward, voice soft but hard. Be careful. You're out of your depth. You touch this wrong, and everything you love dies twice. The ribbon flutters slightly on the filing cabinet as Holt steps back. Eli notices it again. His stomach twists. Careful, Holt, he says, voice low. You won't stop me. Holt sits. People always try. They fail. And they die trying. Eli shakes his head. I'm not failing. I'm not dying. Holt's lips tighten. We'll see. Silence stretches. The weight of years and secrets fills the room. The faint sound of laughter from somewhere far off, maybe inside Holt's office, maybe just Eli imagining it, flutters at the edge of his mind. Holt gestures toward the door. Leave before I make this personal. Eli doesn't move for a beat. The shadows in the corners of the office feel heavier, like the room itself is holding its breath. He glances at the badge, the ribbon, the papers, the office walls that have heard too much. Holt leans back, calm, a predator in stillness. Eli turns. He walks out. The office door closes behind him. He hears nothing at first. Then, just faintly, almost teasing, the laughter rises again. Inside the office. Behind him. A reminder that he is not done. He climbs into the truck, slams the door, and grips the wheel so tight his knuckles whiten. The town looks normal outside. Calm streets. Dust motes drift in sunlight. But Eli knows better. Holt is not just a man. He is the lock on a chest full of horrors. Eli starts the truck, engine growling. He does not look back. Not yet. The laughter follows, soft, insistent. Wrong. Unwelcome. Yet familiar. He grips the wheel tighter, promises himself he will not be fooled. Holt smiles to himself through the window, alone, untouched, untouchable. Eli pulls onto the main road, dust kicking up behind him. He passes the stores, the church, the empty porch of the mercantile, the saloon's closed doors. The town watches in silence. Holt disappears behind the office door, calm as a snake. Eli doesn't stop driving. He doesn't turn back. Not yet. The echo of the laugh trails him as he leaves town limits, sticking to him like a second skin. The ribbon, the badge, the ghost of his daughter's smile, all pressed inside him now. He grips the wheel and swears he will unravel every secret. Holt's calm, the town's silence, the weight of decades of power, none of it will stop him. The laughter, soft and wrong, hums behind him. It is a promise, a warning, a reminder. Eli drives. The sun beats down. The dust rises. And somewhere inside that quiet, Holt smiles, knowing the game has begun. Eli steps out of the truck, boots crunching on dry earth. The air smells faintly of dust and old timber, the way it always does after the sun rises high. Across the street, near the abandoned well that gapes like a dark mouth, a woman stands perfectly still. Sun glints off her hair, but her face is shadowed. She watches him, unblinking, as if she has been waiting for him. He squints. You know my name, he asks. She tilts her head, lips tight. I'm Ruth Calder, she says finally. I didn't ask, he replies. Her eyes flash. You should've. She steps forward. Every movement measured. She is not afraid. Eli notices the hard set of her shoulders, the way she keeps her hands visible, steady. You're the one Mara went to, he says. Her mouth twists into the faintest half-smile. She knew something. About what? He swallows dryly. She glances toward the well, dark and silent. Girls don't vanish into wells by accident. His chest tightens. His stomach twists. "You're saying my daughter, I'm saying your wife was digging," she interrupts. Her voice is steady but carries weight, like the stone walls of the old church. She steps closer. Eli stumbles back, nearly catching himself on the truck door. He looks at her, searching. "Digging for what?" Ruth does not answer at first. She only gestures toward the well. A faint echo rises from its depths, a soft, Ron laugh that makes his stomach clench. "Several girls have disappeared over the past decade," she says finally. "All connected. Land disputes. Claims. Hidden deals. People who wanted silence. Mara found them. That's why she came to me." Eli's hands curl into fists at his sides. "She didn't tell me." Ruth shakes her head. "She wanted to protect you. You were already grieving. You'd have run into the dark and never come back." He swallows hard, eyes locked on the black gaping well. "So she tried to warn someone?" Ruth's lips press together. She nods once. The echo of the laughter rises again, a whisper that seems to come from just inside his skull. Eli steps toward the well, heart hammering, but Ruth holds up her hand. "Wait." She pulls a stack of letters from her coat pocket. They are scorched on the edges, folded roughly. Some pages are smudged with ink, others torn in half. "These are hers," she says. Eli steps closer, trembling. He takes the letters, fingers brushing the rough paper. Every piece smells faintly of smoke, of memory, of a time before silence took the house. He opens one. The handwriting is sharp, neat, urgent. Names. Dates. Contracts. Mentions of Holt. Every word presses against him like a hand around his throat. Ruth watches quietly, not offering comfort, not flinching. "She wrote these in the weeks before she died," Ruth says. Eli's voice is low, harsh, nearly a growl. "She knew they were coming." Ruth tilts her head. "She tried to stop it. She couldn't. The power these men hold, it swallows people whole." Eli drops the letters into his lap, staring at the open well. "And the laughter?" he asks. "The sound?" Ruth's eyes darken. "It's not her. Not exactly. It's what she left behind. The warning. A memory of what was stolen. The voices of the girls who never got to laugh again." The wind stirs. The well exhales a faint, hollow whistle. Eli swallows, jaw tight. "So what do we do?" Ruth's eyes meet his, unyielding. "We start digging again. We find the truth before they erase it entirely." The faint echo of laughter drifts again, closer this time. Eli shivers but does not move back. He grips the letters tighter. The abandoned well looms between them like a dark sentinel. The shadows of the past press against him, heavy and alive. "Then we start," he says. Ruth drops the rest of the letters into his hands. The edges are scorched, the paper brittle. "Everything she wanted you to see," she says. "Everything she hoped you'd finish." The echo rises again. This time it feels almost guiding, almost coaxing. Eli's throat is dry, lungs tight, but he does not step away. The two of them stand at the mouth of the well. Silence presses in around them, except for that faint, wrong, soft laughter that coils around the edges of their minds. He folds his hands around the letters, feeling the weight of every secret, every hidden name, every injustice Mara tried to expose. Ruth turns slightly toward the town in the distance. "They'll watch us," she says. "Holt. The families. Everyone with something to lose. They want silence. You already lost a wife and daughter to their lies. Don't lose yourself too." Eli swallows hard. His eyes return to the well. The darkness inside seems to pulse, as if aware of him. "I'll do it," he says. I'll go in. I'll find out everything. Ruth lays a hand on his shoulder, firm. Then do it. But be ready. They won't let you leave unscathed. The wind stirs again. The echo of laughter rises one last time, hovering between memory and warning. The stack of letters trembles slightly in Eli's hands. The sun beats down on the dry earth. The abandoned well yawns before them, dark and infinite. Eli breathes deeply, gripping the letters. Ruth steps back, silent, eyes watching, knowing the first move has been made. He does not speak again. The weight of the past, of Mara, of Grace, presses on him. He steps closer to the well, the letters in hand, and the faint echo of that soft, wrong laughter follows him like a shadow, promising that nothing will remain hidden for long. Eli unfolds the first letter. The edges are burnt, brittle, but the words are clear. Mara's handwriting is sharp, urgent, almost trembling. Names. Dates. Land. Transfers. Signatures he recognizes, Holt's among them. His hands shake. She wrote this 3 days before, he murmurs. Ruth nods, leaning against the well's wooden railing, eyes dark with memory. She knew they'd come, she says. Eli swallows hard, jaw tight. Why didn't she tell me? She tried, Ruth says, voice low, steady, almost mournful. The letters tremble in his hands as he flips through them. Each page carries a weight, a history of power and cruelty. The contracts Mara noted, the warnings she scribbled, the lists of girls who disappeared, names he had never wanted to see, but now cannot ignore. Ruth steps closer. I was once engaged to him, she says, voice cold. To Holt. Before I found out what he'd done after the mining collapse years ago. Eli looks up, eyes wide. What did he do? Ruth's jaw tightens. He covered it up. Girls went missing. Families paid off. The town pretended it never happened. Mara discovered some of it. That's why she came to me. That's why she kept a record. Eli stares at the letters, then at Ruth. So all this, it's bigger than us. Bigger than her death. Ruth nods. The wind stirs faintly around them, carrying dust and the faint smell of smoke. Eli drops the first letter and lights a match, holding it beneath the paper. The edges catch flame, curling black. He wants to destroy it. To erase the pain. But the flame hisses, consumes only the corner, and he stops. Not again, he mutters, voice tight. Ruth's hand lands on his wrist, firm. They want silence. You already gave them that once. He looks at her, understanding, fear and determination warring in his chest. I can't let them do it again, he says. Ruth steps back. Then you reopen the well. You follow her lead. You find the truth she left behind. Eli clenches the letters in his fist. Even if it kills me? Ruth tilts her head, eyes hard. It already did, Eli. Every time you ignore it, every time you forget, it kills a little more of all of you. The air grows heavy. Dust swirls in the sunlight. Eli walks to the edge of the old, sealed well, glancing down into the darkness. This is where it begins, he says, voice low. Ruth nods. Everything she recorded, every warning, every name, it's here. You dig through it, you'll find what she couldn't finish. Eli kneels, resting the letters on the ground beside the well. He traces the edge with his fingers. I promised I'd protect them, he mutters. I promised I'd keep Grace safe. Ruth watches silently. You're about to find out who really needed protecting, she says. He lifts the letters, one by one, studying each carefully. Every signature, every note, every partial sentence builds a map of corruption, lies, and greed. It's all here, he whispers. Everything Mara wanted me to see. Everything she hoped I'd finish. The wind sighs around them, rattling the old boards of the well. Eli's eyes narrow. Then I finish it, he says. Ruth steps closer. And I help. But be ready. The people who buried the truth will try to bury you too. He nods, jaw tight, shoulders squared. He drops the letters into his satchel, the stack heavy and warm against his chest. The well yawns beneath him. Shadows gather inside, thick and silent, but the faint echo of laughter rises again, soft, wrong, insistent. Eli grips the satchel tighter. I hear you, Mara. I hear all of you. Ruth rests a hand briefly on his shoulder. Then don't stop. No matter what comes. The air presses close. The weight of fire, memory, and secrets hangs in the afternoon sun. Dust drifts lazily across the ground. The old letters lie ready to guide him, every word a step deeper into the past, into the darkness, into the truth. Eli straightens, eyes fixed on the well. He breathes slowly. Every muscle tight. The faint laughter drifts from the shadows, guiding, taunting, promising that the work ahead will not be easy, but it must be done. He lifts one leg over the edge of the well, steadying himself. Ruth steps back, eyes sharp. The letters sit on the ground, their corners blackened. The sun shifts behind clouds, casting long shadows. Eli looks down into the darkness and whispers, I'm coming. I'll find it all. The well seems to breathe beneath him. Dust stirs. Silence and faint echoes mix. Ruth watches, unflinching, as Eli prepares to reopen the sealed mouth of the past, determined to uncover every secret Mara left behind. Eli stands at the edge of the old well, the rope coiled in his hands, rough against his palms. The wood is splintered, old, smelling of damp and earth. Ruth holds the lantern, its light flickering across the dirt and broken stones, casting long shadows that tremble like fingers. You go down, you don't come back the same, she says, voice low, calm, almost warning. Eli swallows hard. I didn't come back the same the first time, he mutters, his eyes tracing the darkness below. The rope creaks as he tests its weight, hands tightening, heart hammering. One step, then another, until he is suspended above the void. Dust falls like ash, coating his shoulders and gloves. Be careful, Ruth says, voice carrying over the hollow wind that rises from the well. I'll be fine, he says, though his stomach churns. He lowers himself slowly, one hand over the other, until the rough rope bites into his palms and the darkness swallows him. The walls are slick with damp and moss, the smell of earth and old stone thick in his nose. He reaches the bottom, boots scraping uneven rocks. Scraps of fabric catch his eye, tattered, faded, almost buried under layers of dirt. A small shoe, delicate and dirt-stained, sits wedged in a crack. He kneels to touch it, breath catching. Metal tags hang from ropes tied to the walls, old markers for mineral shipments, long abandoned. The air seems heavier here, pressing down on his chest, carrying whispers. At first, he thinks it is wind, but the sound becomes clear. Soft, warped, almost like laughter. Daddy, the voice calls. His blood freezes. He freezes. I'm here, he whispers back, though no one is visible. Silence follows. The darkness seems alive, moving, shifting just beyond sight. A sudden thud from above makes the rope jerk violently. Eli grips it tight, swinging slightly, the lantern casting spinning light on jagged walls. They're here. Ruth shouts from the top, voice strained with fear and command. Eli looks up, sees shadows moving along the lip of the well, shapes crouching just out of clear sight. He climbs carefully, muscles straining, rope burning his hands. Every step is measured, every slip a threat. The whispers rise, layered voices, some pleading, some laughing. He swings the lantern to catch. Movement, shadows vanish, leaving only the echo of that wrong, soft laughter. His chest heaves, breath loud in the cavern. Dust falls from the walls like ash. He climbs higher, each pull of rope a battle between strength and fear. The rope creaks and groans under weight, threatening to snap. Every instinct screams to stop or to run, but he can't. He won't. At last, his hands reach the top. He hauls himself over the edge, knees scraping rock and dirt. Ruth's hands catch him, steadying him. "You okay?" she asks. He nods, shivering, chest heaving. "I saw them," he mutters. "I heard them." The echo of laughter lingers in the well like a presence, not gone, not fully alive, but aware. "They're real," he says, voice low. "Every one of them." Ruth looks down into the black mouth of the well. "And now you know why we fight," she says. "Why Mara risked everything. Why you must finish what she started." Eli's fingers close around the rope, knuckles white. The lantern's light flickers, casting shadows that twitch along the walls. A cold wind rises from the depths. "I'm not leaving until I do," he says. Ruth nods, steady. Then we go deeper. The faint, warped laughter coils around them like smoke, a warning and a guide. Eli catches his breath and steps back from the edge. He tightens the rope, adjusts the lantern, and looks at Ruth. "Let's find them," he says, voice firm. She nods. Dust drifts from the walls. Shadows shift. The well yawns before them, dark and infinite. And somewhere in the silence between the wind and the echoes, Eli feels it, the weight of every lost girl, the memory of Mara, and the promise that what lies below is only the beginning. Gunfire shatters the stillness above the well. Sparks fly from the wooden beams of the abandoned courthouse roof. Eli scrambles up the rope, bruises already blooming along his arms, lungs burning. Ruth crouches low on the edge, pistol in hand, eyes scanning for movement. "Move," she shouts. He hauls himself over, collapsing against the dirt, chest heaving. The sun glints off metal. Sheriff Holt and two deputies step out from behind the courthouse ruins, calm, deliberate, guns raised. "You could have grieved quiet," Holt says, voice smooth, practiced. "You buried them." His eyes sweep over Eli. "You don't know what you're digging into." Eli's fists clench. "I know enough," he spits. Ruth steps forward, voice sharp, commanding. "Tell him about the contracts." A murmur rises from the gathered townsfolk, the dust of years stirring with old resentments. Eli holds Mara's letters out in his hands, weight heavy with truth. "She named every one of you." The deputy hesitates, shifting uneasily. Holt's calm begins to crack. "You've lost your mind," he says. "This is arson. Madness." Behind them, smoke curls from the roofline. Fire races across the timber. The town begins to gather instinctively, whispers spreading, eyes wide with fear and recognition. Holt steps toward Eli, gun trained but his movement careful. "Step aside," he orders. Ruth glances at the crowd, nods subtly. "Step aside," she repeats, eyes locked on Holt. Sparks rain down, heat licking their faces. The blaze consumes the courthouse, symbolic and real, fire illuminating every secret the town has tried to hide. Holt gestures at the deputies. "Arrest him." Eli's voice cuts through the chaos. "Look at them. Look at what you've built on lies." A deputy wavers, glancing at Mara's letters, the smoke, the crowd. Holt swears under his breath. "You think this will scare me?" Ruth steps in between Holt and Eli, gun raised. "It won't. But this will." The townsfolk shift closer, emboldened by her presence, by the fire, by the truth exposed. Holt's gun hand trembles slightly. A woman steps forward from the crowd, past the heat, past fear. "We know," she says quietly. Others nod, faces hardened by years of watching their children vanish or their friends silenced. Holt's voice rises, sharp. "I will not let this go. You are all fools." Eli holds the letters higher, their edges blackened from the small burns earlier, but intact enough to carry Mara's truth. "You already buried them," he says, "but not their stories. Not their names." The fire roars louder behind Holt, consuming the courthouse, symbols of law and order twisted by corruption. Sparks swirl around the deputies. Holt's jaw tightens, his control slipping. He turns to retreat. This isn't over, he hisses. Eli and Ruth step toward the burning building, the letters clutched tight. The townsfolk follow cautiously, some curious, some fearful, some relieved to finally see someone challenge the authority that has ruled them through fear. Holt disappears into the shadows of the side streets, muttering, cursing, powerless for the first time in decades. Eli and Ruth move closer to the courthouse flames, feeling the heat on their faces, watching history burn. The echo of laughter rises faintly from somewhere beyond the fire of memory, warning, and the hint of what still needs to be found. Smoke drifts across the street, curling over broken glass and scorched timbers. The townsfolk begin murmuring among themselves, tentative alliances forming in the shadow of the blaze. Eli turns to Ruth. "We've started something," he says. "Something they can't stop." Ruth nods, eyes fixed on the fire. "And we're not done," she says. The courthouse burns, a symbol and a warning, illuminating every secret, every lie, every truth Mara tried to leave behind. Dust swirls in the heat. Shadows stretch long across the street. Eli feels the weight of the past pressing down, heavy but no longer invisible. He breathes in, chest tight. The letters are still clutched in his hands. The laughter drifts through the smoke, soft and wrong, insistent. And somewhere in the roar of the flames, Eli knows the town is split now, and nothing will ever be the same. The smoke chokes the courthouse as Eli and Ruth slip inside, coughing, eyes watering. The heat presses against them, thick and suffocating, mingling with the smell of scorched paper and wet timber. They weave between half-collapsed shelves and smoldering stacks of documents, Ruth holding the lantern high. "Top drawer." "Red folder," she hisses, pointing to a scorched filing cabinet half-buried under fallen beams. Eli ducks past a fallen beam, smoke stinging his lungs. "You sure?" he asks, voice rough. Ruth's eyes are sharp. "Positive. Holt didn't destroy everything. Not the contracts. Not the proof." His fingers brush against the charred papers. Dust and ash coat them, blackening his skin, but he keeps going. He opens the drawer. Inside, stacked neatly despite the chaos, are contracts, mineral leases, signatures, letters, every official mark connecting Holt to the state officials. At the top, a governor's signature gleams faintly in the firelight. Eli lifts it carefully. "This goes higher," he whispers, awe and fear pressing in. Ruth leans closer, voice low. "Higher means dangerous." "They already killed my family," Eli mutters, jaw tight. The air shifts. The faint, raw laughter curls along the walls, soft, almost guiding, almost coaxing. "Follow it," Ruth says, pointing toward a locked basement door across the room. He crosses the smoky floor, boots scuffing charred debris, and kneels before the door. The lock is old but intact. He lifts Mara's letters from the satchel at his side, running a finger over the burnt edges, and whispers, "I hear you. I'll find the rest." The faint laughter rises again, echoing in the shadows, pressing into his chest. His hand rests on the doorknob, cold metal against his palm. Ruth stands behind him, steady, lantern casting long, trembling shadows along the walls. "Ready?" she asks. Eli nods. "As ready as I'll ever be." The lock clicks open. He pushes the door slowly. Darkness yawns inside. Dust rises like a warning. The staircase creaks beneath their weight, descending into the basement where Holt never wanted anyone to go. The air is thick, stale, and damp, smelling of old wood and secrets. Paper rustles in the dark. Eli steps forward, lantern held high. The stacks of evidence glint faintly in the flickering light, letters, contracts, photos, receipts, everything Holt hoped would remain hidden. He runs a finger along the top folder. "All of it," he breathes. Ruth leans close. Every deal. Every disappearance. Every girl who was erased. The faint laughter rises again, soft, guiding, almost coaxing him deeper into the basement. He moves carefully between the piles, eyes scanning, heart racing. Smoke curls from the upper floors, heat pressing down, but they move past it all. He lifts a folder, flips through pages. Names, signatures, payments, corruption baked into every line. Holt's name is stamped repeatedly. The governor's mark is unmistakable. "This is it," Eli says, voice shaking. "Proof. Everything Mara wanted me to find." Ruth rests a hand on his shoulder. "Then you expose it. No hesitation. No fear. They'll come for you. They always do. But this is what she died for." He takes a deep breath. "I won't let them bury it again." The soft laughter swirls through the basement, brushing against the walls, curling around the stacks of evidence. It's faint, coaxing, almost triumphant. "They can't stop this," he whispers. "Not anymore." Outside, sirens wail faintly, but they are not for rescue. The fire roars above, smoke pouring from the courthouse like a funeral veil. Eli lifts another folder, scanning it quickly. Ruth watches the staircase, alert, ears straining over the crackle of flames and the faint echo of laughter. Every piece of paper, every contract, every signature carries weight. Holt's empire is exposed here, lying in stacks beneath the smoke and rubble. Eli breathes in, chest tight, mind racing, heart hammering. "It all comes down to this," he mutters. Ruth's hand grips his arm. "Then let's finish it." The basement is quiet now, except for the soft, raw laughter, circling them like a memory, like a promise that what they've uncovered will shake the town to its core. Smoke curls from the charred beams above. Dust drifts across the floor. The stacks of evidence gleam faintly, waiting. Eli tightens his grip on the folders. He knows what comes next. Outside, the fire lights the ruins, townspeople beginning to stir. Inside, the basement is still, heavy with secrets, alive with memory. The faint laughter coils around him, gentle, insistent, guiding. "It's all here," he whispers. "All of it." Ruth nods. "And now it can't be ignored." They stand together, surrounded by Holt's hidden proof, the fire roaring above, smoke curling around the basement walls. The faint echo of laughter swirls through the evidence, soft, raw, and insistent, a call to finish what Mara started. The courthouse ruins are silent now, smoke drifting over charred beams. Deputies form a half circle around Eli, guns raised, eyes wary. Holt steps forward, anger sharp in his gaze, voice rising above the crackle of smoldering timber. "You did this," he shouts. "Arson. Madness. You'll pay for this." Eli steps out from the shadows of the wreckage, Mara's letters in hand. "Grief broke him," Holt says, pointing at Eli. "No," a voice cuts from the crowd, sharp and steady. "You did," Eli replies, voice echoing across the scorched street. Townspeople stir, murmurs growing louder. A mother steps forward, hands trembling, eyes wet. "She laughed like that too," she says, voice breaking. Others nod, whispering names of daughters long gone, girls who vanished into wells, into mines, into silence. Power shifts in the street, slow, undeniable. Holt's jaw tightens. "This is not your place," he shouts. Ruth steps between him and Eli, gun leveled. "Shoot me." "Do it in front of them," she says, voice calm, fearless. Silence falls. Holt's hand hovers over his gun. He breathes, tense. Then he lowers it, muttering under his breath, eyes fixed on Eli. "You'll hear that laugh forever," he whispers. One deputy hesitates, looking between the flames, the townspeople, the letters. The murmurs grow louder. Eli steps forward, letters held high, weight of truth pressing against his chest. The crowd edges closer, faces hard with years of fear in silence. Holt's control falters. He swears, steps back toward the shadowed side street, deputies unsure, townsfolk emboldened. The mother who spoke before nods at Eli. Others murmur agreements, some shout names of missing girls. Holt is trapped in the moment he once commanded, powerless under the weight of the truths they ignored. Ruth keeps her stance, unwavering. The faint, wrong laughter curls around the street, soft, guiding, almost alive, reminding everyone that the voices of the girls remain. Holt glances at the letters in Eli's hands, fury and fear warring in his expression. "This isn't over," he hisses. The deputy moves reluctantly, finally cuffing Holt as townspeople watch, whispers and murmurs filling the air. The fire from the courthouse casts flickering light on faces, highlighting fear, rage, and relief. Eli lowers the letters, chest heaving, shoulders heavy with grief and truth. Ruth steps closer, eyes scanning the crowd, still alert. The wind lifts dust from the street, carrying faint smoke and the echo of laughter across the ruins. Holt struggles against the deputy, voice cracking with anger. "You don't understand. You can't stop this." Eli watches, steady. "We already stopped it from being hidden," he says. The townspeople murmur again, growing louder, finally finding their voices after decades of silence. Ruth glances at Eli, eyes sharp. "This is just the beginning," she says. Eli nods, holding the letters tighter, letting the weight of Mara's work, of every girl lost, guide him. The laughter swirls through the smoke, faint, wrong, but no longer frightening. It is a reminder, a herald, a ghost of the girls' voices finally heard. Holt is led away, muttering, powerless for the first time in decades. The town breathes, uncertain but awake, aware of the long-buried truths. Ruth steps closer to Eli, shoulders tense. "They'll try again," she says. "But now we're ready." Eli glances at the ruins of the courthouse, the fire reduced to embers, letters clutched tight. "They won't silence them again," he says. The wind lifts, carrying ash and dust, wrapping around the street. Somewhere beyond the ruins, faintly, a wrong, soft laughter drifts, a memory of loss, a promise of vigilance. The town has split. Holt has fallen. And in the silence between the murmurs, Eli and Ruth stand, ready for what comes next. Eli returns home that night. The house is heavy with silence, but it doesn't feel hostile. Dust motes drift in the moonlight through the cracked windows. He moves slowly through the rooms, each step careful, ears straining for the faintest echo of laughter. The nursery is dark, rocking chair still, but the shadow seems softer, less threatening. Ruth stands in the doorway, lantern in hand, watching him with steady eyes. "It's not over," she says quietly. "I know," he replies, voice low, shoulders tense. He sits in the rocking chair, the wood creaking softly beneath him. His hands clutch Mara's letters, the weight of truth pressing against his chest. Ruth leans against the doorframe. "What now?" she asks. He swallows, gaze fixed on the empty crib. "We rebuild. We find the girls. We make sure this doesn't happen again." Ruth nods. "And the town?" Eli shrugs, voice rough. "They'll have to face what they ignored." Silence hangs between them, heavy but not oppressive. Eli's eyes drift to the corner where Grace's ribbon once lay. The rocking chair shifts gently, as if pushed by an unseen hand. His breath catches. "I was afraid the laugh meant I was losing her," he whispers. Ruth steps closer. "And now?" He closes his eyes, letting the quiet fill him. "Now I think she wanted me to hear it. To remember. To act." The chair rocks once more, slow and deliberate, but this time it feels like memory, like connection, not terror. He stands, placing Mara's letters carefully on the table. The badge rests beside them. He picks it up, turns it over in his hands, then slips it into a drawer and locks it away. Ruth watches, expression softening. "It's safe now," she says. Eli nods, closing the drawer. The house exhales around them. It's quiet. Not empty. He moves toward the hallway, past rooms that hold echoes of grief and memory. Each step feels lighter. Outside, the wind stirs the fields, rustling the grass gently. No laughter carries on it tonight. Only the quiet and the weight of what has been uncovered. Eli looks at Ruth. "We've done what we could here," he says. She nods. "For now." They stand together in the doorway of the nursery, the faint light catching dust in the air, a reminder of what's been lost and what remains. The rocking chair sits still. Shadows retreat. The house breathes again, steady, patient, alive with memory but no longer haunted. Eli exhales, shoulders easing. He's still, listening, feeling the absence of terror, the presence of remembrance. "It's quiet," he whispers. Ruth places a hand lightly on his shoulder. "It doesn't have to be anything else." The house, once filled with silence and fear, now feels like a home again. Eli closes his eyes, letting the quiet settle around him. The letters, the badge, the memory of Mara and Grace, all safe, all honored. He steps back, watching the nursery, and allows himself a moment of stillness, a rare, unbroken breath. The faint echo of the past lingers, soft and comforting. The house is no longer empty. It is alive with memory, with love, with truth. And for the first time since the tragedy, Eli feels steady. He does not fear the quiet. He does not fear the memory. The house and its echoes are his now. Eli sits in darkness, the house around him still but alive with memory. The faint scent of ash from the courthouse fire drifts through the open windows, mingling with dust and the heavy night air. He waits, silent, chest tight, ears straining for the wrong, soft laughter that has haunted him for months. There is none. Only his own breathing, shallow, measured. Ruth packs her small bag by the doorway, her movements deliberate. "Come with me," she says, voice quiet but firm. He looks up, eyes meeting hers. "This is where she's buried," he says, fingers brushing the edge of Mara's letters still folded in his lap. "Or where she was silenced." Ruth pauses, eyes hard but understanding. "Then you stay?" he asks. She nods slowly. "I testify. I expose what remains. You finish what must be done here." Outside, the first light of dawn spreads across the fields, pale and cold. Eli rises, carrying the weight of grief, memory, and the letters. He walks to the old well, each step deliberate, boots crunching over gravel and dry grass. Dust swirls in the soft wind. He kneels, sets the letters down carefully, fingers tracing the edge of the stone. The sun touches the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, lighting the well like an altar. He lifts the first stones, heavy, rough, and begins sealing the well with concrete, stone by stone, finality pressing down with every movement. The faint echo of laughter drifts faintly from the darkness below, softer than ever, almost approving, almost guiding. Eli pauses, hand on the last stone, and whispers into the morning air, voice trembling but strong, "I heard you." The wind lifts, rustling the grass, carrying away the echoes. Silence follows, full and complete. The well is sealed. Nothing stirs from its depths. He stands, dusting hands on his pants, shoulders heavy but resolved. Ruth watches from the edge of the field, bag slung over her shoulder. She nods, acknowledging the completion, the closure. Eli turns back toward the house. The sun climbs higher, spilling light across the front porch, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. The house stands quiet. Not empty. Quiet. He steps inside, closing the door gently behind him. No laughter greets him. No whispers, no shadows. Only the weight of memory and truth, carried in the quiet rooms, the letters tucked away, the badge locked safely. Eli moves through the rooms, each step calm, each breath steady. The nursery sits still, rocking chair unmoved. For the first time since Mara and Grace were taken, the house feels whole. He sits in the living room, letting the silence settle, letting the memory of their voices rest. The past has been acknowledged. The lost have been honored. The town will remember now. The wrong, soft laughter is gone, replaced by the steady pulse of life, memory, and truth. Eli exhales, long and deep, finally free of the terror that has clung to him for so long. He rises, walking to the window, watching the sunrise spill across the fields, golden and quiet. The house breathes around him. The air moves gently, carrying the calm of resolution, the peace of remembrance. Eli turns back to the empty rooms, to the letters, the badge, the echoes of Mara and Grace. He smiles faintly, shoulders eased, heart steady. The house is alive with memory, not fear. The past is sealed, the lost voice is honored. And for the first time, Eli does not wait for the laughter to return. It will not. It has been heard. It has been acknowledged. It is at rest.